All right. Hi, all. My name is Christina Pulver. I'm the Director of Operations and Recruiting at Forza One Volleyball, and we're here today with Assistant Coach Chris Hartel from New Mexico State University. Thanks so much for joining the call, Chris. With our recruits not being able to come on campus and make visits right now, we thought, why not bring a little bit more about your school and your philosophy to our recruits virtually.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Surviving. It's getting stir crazy for sure, but yeah, it's could be worse. There's a lot of people have it worse off than me, so I can't complain.
I know. So what are you guys doing as a staff to keep your team connected right now?
We are a minimalist kind of staff in that way. We are not. We've had 2 Zoom calls with our team, and mainly those were academics. Actually, were the people who initiated that. So the coaching staff was on the call basically to stir up trouble behind the scenes and have a little bit of fun. Yeah, we keep connected with them. We got a group text, obviously, and we talk to them, text them, talk to them a little bit individually from time to time. Mm-hmm. But we're not one of those staffs that's, doing 3 Zoom meetings a week or anything like that. It's
So are you confident that they're staying in shape and ready for the WAC in the fall?
Yeah, we are. We've got a pretty well-motivated group. And, at the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do. And we're actually not allowed to be kind of keeping track of that. We're not allowed to be looking behind their backs and trying to get reports. So, I think they pretty well know at this point that if they don't, there's somebody in their group that is going to, and they're going to lose their job, which is a pretty healthy thing. So.
Yeah, good point. Well, let's take a little bit to get to know you. Take us through your coaching career. What got you into volleyball? And then I know you and I met when you were back at Radford.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, take us through your volleyball.
What got me into volleyball? Well, obviously it was the girls. Back when I was in high school, we didn't have boys volleyball, but I was in the San Francisco Bay Area, and a couple of girls in my math class dragged me out to their volleyball game, and I was going blind at the time, and so hitting a baseball was becoming more and more problematic. But that volleyball back at the time was really big. I could see that. So I started playing volleyball, and I started as soon as I graduated, I started coaching with Empire Volleyball Club. It still exists up in Northern California. And let's see, I worked my way through a couple of college coaching jobs. I wound up at Empire. I started coaching with the head coach here now, Mike Jordan. He was up at Empire at the time. So I've known him since I was probably 17 years old or something like that.
Wow.
We go way back. But I came here in the early 2005, 2006, something like that. Wound up getting my degree here. And when I got my degree here, I'd been one of his assistant coaches that whole time. And when I got my degree, he didn't have a paid job open. So I wound up going to Radford. I was there for 8 years. Loved every second of it. Had a great time with Coach Byers now. I have a hard time not calling her Coach Jenkins. But and then when this job came back open last year, 14, 15 months ago, something like that, then it was a no-brainer to be able to come back here. So.
Yeah, well, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about New Mexico State. First of all, just like the area, a lot of Californians are very open these days to going out of state, but a lot of them haven't ever traveled to New Mexico. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a little bit off the beaten path. It's one of the best kept secrets, I think, in the country in a lot of ways. We've got weather that's very similar to Southern California in a lot of ways. It never gets really cold here. We are at a little bit of an elevation, so it also doesn't get super hot here. When some of the Arizona areas scorching at 115 degrees, we're at like 101, 102,
okay,
which is way more manageable, I think. And so it's, in that way, it's been kind of overlooked. It's a growing community. We've got NASA and a lot of aerospace industry around here. So that really drives this university, but it also drives the community around. So That's something I think that people don't realize. We are about 40 miles north of El Paso and the Mexico border. So we've got, a lot of culture, a lot of cross-border culture around here. I think people who are here love it.
Good food.
Great food. Yeah, if you like Mexican food, this is the place, because it's not Tex-Mex, it's not California Mex. It's like we can actually get real, authentic.
Yeah.
In fact, we can even buy the Coke and Pepsi that they produce down there. So like the different water being used and everything. So
Okay.
We've got a pretty large school. I think we're about 13,000 people in the university, and so it's a pretty good sized school. You can study anything you would like to study for the most part. And yeah, what other questions? What other things?
Yeah, so I think, as my players are trying to decide on their different colleges, yes, there is, regionally, but once they're in the volleyball, in the gym,
Yeah,
that's, I think they could be living anywhere. And I think that's, the reality is some players may be going to school 2 hours away, but they get home is the same amount of time as players out of state.
absolutely.
So then it comes down to, a lot of times the academics and then the volleyball program. So you've already mentioned academically,
Yeah.
your school offers a very wide range of academics. Are there any majors that they're not allowed to take being on the volleyball team?
The only thing that I can come up with off the top of my head that would be hard would be something like music, dance, drama, because you're having to practice physically the same way we do.
Okay.
We have nurses. We've got people in nursing school right now. We've got people in the pre-med programs right now. We've got people in engineering right now. Engineering is a really big, strong major here. Exercise science is one of the most difficult majors at the university. We've got several people in that. And I went through it myself when I was here, so it can be done as an athlete.
Absolutely. And then, so let's say on the road, I mean, you guys travel, all over with your conference. What kind of academic support do the athletes get at New Mexico State?
Well, on the road, nothing directly.
Okay.
We do give you plenty of time to study when you're on the road. That's not, a problem. At home, we've got, all the same kind of academic support that you would expect. We've got athletics counselors, we've got study hall, we've got tutoring. All of that's free to the athletes. You're able to, register for classes early, so you can make sure you get that. So much of, school has gone online, not just now, but even before, that, being away from class is much easier than it was even 10 years ago. 10 years ago we had to, study and finished all of our exams on Tuesday before we left on Wednesday, when everybody else is taking it on Friday, right? Now they just take the exam online on Friday on the road. And it's just, I think it's gotten a lot easier for student athletes doing that with the travel. Yeah. But we do travel a lot.
Yeah, you do. I was, you have a large conference and
We do.
You're on the road a lot. And our players like it because you get locally quite a bit.
Yeah, we do.
So let's move into the volleyball aspects. Tell us, you've worked with this staff before. You've been back. Is it been almost 3 years since you've been?
I've been back 1 year.
Oh, it's only been 1 year. Okay.
Yeah, just this is my first year back.
I get confused because you were there back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I left in I think I left my first year at Radford was 2011.
Okay. All right. So talk to us about the philosophy, the coaching philosophy.
Okay, so Coach Jordan's been here for 22, 23 years. So he's well established. I think the thing that he does better than almost anybody I've ever been around is just the way he communicates with people, individually especially. And he's a person who can find a way to work with an incredible range of people, whether you are super highly motivated for one thing or super highly motivated for another. Like, he's able to kind of figure out how to make you work with the rest of the group, or how to get you to work with the rest of the group, and how to get the rest of the group to work with you. So I think one of the unique things is we've got such a diverse group of people, and they all for the most part, get along well, and they all work together well. And I think that comes straight from Coach Jordan. He's so good at just getting people to kind of be able to do that kind of thing. So I think, first of all,
you mentioned
yeah.
one-on-one. So, for trying to get my high school players to understand what the college life is like, I think there might be a perception that, they rarely get to talk to their head coach one-on-one, or, like you guys have a pretty large staff. How
Yeah.
often are they getting to meet one-on-one?
I would say as often as they would like.
Okay.
Some people are going to want to do it more. Some people are going to be up in the office, and go into Mike's office, every couple of days. Some of them might be, a couple of months in between visits up to the office,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of, the beauty of what Mike's able to do is he's able to balance that and work with whatever you feel like you need, whatever you feel like you want. He makes himself available for that. And he's pretty observant as well. So if he's looking, at practice and he's seeing something in your body language or whatever that is calling out that, I need somebody to talk to, or I need to talk to somebody.
I love it.
He's good about noticing that and,
Yeah.
picking up on that kind of thing.
Does he like the players? Okay, so freshman year, you come in. They have to tell us where they live. Does he encourage them to live together? Is he open?
Yeah. So as freshmen, you come in, we put you in one of the dorms. Typically, you live with another volleyball player, but we don't force that on people.
Okay.
It just happens to be, usually in the past, you'd come to camp, the year before or whatever, and that's where you'd meet somebody. So that's the person and you'd say, hey, let's live together for a year or semester or whatever. But if you come in with somebody from school or somebody else that and you want to live with them, that's fine too, as far as we're concerned. Most of our players, not all of them, but most of them move off campus after their freshman year. They move into apartments or into a house or something like that. Again, most of them live with other volleyball players, but they don't have to.
Okay.
That's as long as you're in a safe environment, that's all that we as a staff really care about. Make it safe, make it comfortable. We want to make sure you're in position to, live your best life.
Yeah, no, I love that. So in terms of the strength training, injury prevention, what does New Mexico State offer for that?
All right. Well, Matt List is our strength coach for our team. He's done a really good job. He's been with us about the same time I have, actually, a little less than a year. He came from LSU, where he was doing volleyball strength conditioning for them. I think beach volleyball for them. So he has had some experience. My degree is in exercise science. I don't use it as much as I probably should to keep remembering everything, but I'm still at the point where I can ask questions about what he's doing and why he's doing it. And he's never given me an answer that set off alarm bells that made me go, what? He's always gives me answers like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. He's always really responsive whenever I ask him, say, hey, I want more stuff with our ankles, or I want more stuff. I want the setters jumping more because they don't jump enough, max jump enough in practice, and they wind up, losing vertical over the course of their careers if we don't,
Yeah, no, you
do that.
make a really good point, because I think the relationship between the athletic department and the individual teams can be, definitely not equitable at all schools. And I think the fact that your school, you have that great relationship with your athletic department. And it goes to our athletic trainers as well. The athletic trainers, the coaching staff, volleyball coaching staff, and the strength coaching staff. That's like a triangle of people that have to work, really close together in order to get the most out of your team. Yeah.
And so I think that's really important that we do that.
Yeah. So take us through, hopefully you guys are all back in the gym when normal time, July, August. Take us through a day of preseason when they're ramping up for conference play.
Yeah. So early on we'll be in double days. And for us, those are usually 2.5 hours or so in the morning, 2.5 hours or so in the afternoon. We might throw a quick weightlifting session in between some of those days, say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something like that. And we'll usually have, 4 hours or so off in between sessions to give us a little bit of recovery time. It kind of varies depending on what, the team needs each year. but we're playing quite a bit of that. I would say this, one of the two practices, we're probably playing 6-on-6, a large chunk of that in various different ways. And then, once school starts, which is usually right before our preseason starts, or maybe the week after our preseason starts, we're going back to one a day, and that's usually about 3 hours in the gym. We're doing a lift. Those will sometimes stretch out a little bit more, 45 minutes or so, maybe even close to an hour occasionally. And once games start, we're doing that 2 days. We're lifting 2 days a week. I would say Monday and Tuesday for us are very much days that are focused on our team getting better. So we are maybe not necessarily playing 6-on-6 that whole time. We are doing things, 2 courts up, lots of different things going on at once, trying to make our players better.
When are your conference games? Sorry to interrupt.
I'm sorry?
Oh, are your conference matches? What days are they typically played on then?
Typically Thursday, Saturday.
Okay.
So Wednesday is usually a travel day for us. And Wednesday, we are in our practice, whether it's at home or whether it's on the road, we are kind of focused on our opponent. I think that's one thing that we do maybe a little differently than some others, is we change things based on our opponents. If you watch our video, our left back will be standing in different places depending on which outside hitter's in the front row for the other team, depending on which team we're playing and all that kind of thing. It's not like you just get to be I go here robot when they set, the ball to the zone 4. So we go through that on Wednesday. We play on Thursday. We do that again on Friday for the next opponent, play on Saturday, and we usually fly home Saturday night if we can most of the time. So Sunday is usually our day off, and then we start it all over again on Monday.
Right. So when they do have that day off at New Mexico State, what are some of the activities or social places they can go to around campus or on campus?
All right. So, excuse me, our student union's great. It's got lots of, activities. It's got restaurants. It's got good places to hang out and chill. Honestly, you're doing a lot of studying at that point. The things they can do that they probably don't do very much. You can go, there's great hiking around here. 9 miles east of us, we've got these great mountains that just go straight up out of the ground. And there's great hiking out there. There's great bike riding out there.
Cool.
They can go, campus is not far from downtown. So it's pretty easy for them to get downtown and go to the things that are right there. But it's I think their Sundays are usually pretty chill because Monday through Saturday is not.
Yeah. And then your spring season, so sad about this spring season.
Yeah.
But yeah, you typically will, have your tournaments and play, but it's a really neat time for, I think, the athletes to kind of be normal people, to get to know some of the non-athletes, to, work on the other side of them, or, if volleyball for some reason were taken away from an athlete, I want them to still love the campus. I still want them to love that they can go mountain biking or hiking or living in a warmer environment or not too far from home. So I'm really encouraging everyone to be looking at the virtual tours you guys are all putting up and to watching these videos to get to know the coaching philosophies. There's a lot that goes into these decisions. The blessing.
The spring is
the time
critical for that.
Right?
You have so much more time in the spring semester than you do in the fall semester to just get out and explore the area, to meet new people, try new restaurants.
Right.
So much more.
When do you have them? So they go home at the end of May, right? You're on a semester system, or you?
Yeah, we're somewhere in May, early May.
So then when do you have them report back for season?
In typical years, it would be somewhere around July 1st.
Okay.
That's when we can often, not always, but often we can pay for summer school. And a lot of them take advantage of that. And of course, once they get here, they can work out with our strength coach for the whole month of July, which is pretty important going into August. And I think probably 90+% of our team is usually taking advantage of being able to do that. So, but you get most of May off, probably at least 2, usually 3 weeks of May off.
Okay.
You get all of June off.
Okay. All
And
right.
then July, you come in, maybe you go to summer school, maybe you don't for a couple hours. You lift for an hour, 3 days a week, and then 2 or 3 days a week you do, you play open gym for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And it sounds like a lot when I just rattle that off, but it's really only winds up being like 30% of your time.
Are your athletes able to hold jobs?
Are they able to hold jobs?
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to pick the right one. Certainly in the fall, it's going to be difficult with all of our travel and practice.
Mm-hmm.
In the spring, they can do a little bit more of that, especially if it's an on-campus job that kind of works around their schedule. Mm-hmm. And certainly almost all of them go home and do something, mm-hmm. for that month in the summer. Very rare. I don't think there's any of them that just kind of are cruising the whole time.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, so what else have I missed? I want to make sure you're getting out any uniquenesses about New Mexico State or anything you want to make sure that my recruits know more about you, your staff.
I think it's a fun environment. I think Coach Jordan has made it into very much of a family environment, and it's not always roses and roses and dandelions all the time, but it's one of those places that you're going to have fun. You're going to enjoy the people around you, not just in the volleyball program, but also in the university and also in the community. We got a really good, interesting, eclectic community around here. It's not hard to get to Southern California from here.
What does that mean?
Like El Paso, you can get a direct flight out of El Paso to LAX, and it's like a 2-hour flight.
Okay.
You can get a connection through Phoenix, and you can get into Irvine, Ontario. Some of those pretty easily. San Diego, we can go. We have got a direct flight to San Diego. I don't think that's probably a little outside of your catchment area, but it's easy to get back and forth from Southern California to our town. So
yeah, no, actually San Diego and Ontario are both really close to, like, within an hour from Temecula.
Oh, okay, yeah. So San Diego, yeah, we got a direct flight on Alaska from El Paso to San Diego. So easy to get here. I think going to a place that if you're competitive and you like working, going to a place where you're going to win. Coach Jordan's got a 22-year history of being at the top of this conference, regardless of who's in it. Mm-hmm. So I think that always makes volleyball more fun and life more fun.
Oh, winning is great. One thing I thought of, what is it, like 1% of players go on to play professionally? What is it that New Mexico State does to help players prepare for after college?
I think part of that is going to be where we let you study whatever you want to study. So you're not forced into something that you're really not interested in. And believe me, I've heard horror stories of people having been forced into things that they didn't want to do in the end. So there's that. I think Coach Jordan is really good about giving our players freedom, even in the fall. At times, we've got players coming in and out of practice because they've got other things that they need to be doing. Okay. Classes that are scheduled, overlapping parts of practice and things like that. Mm-hmm. And Coach Jordan is great about just finding a way to work around that sort of thing. They're able to get internships. They're able to do a study abroad at certain times, like over Christmas break or over the summer. We certainly encourage that. I certainly encourage people to go overseas. I was in Italy in January, for crying out loud.
Oh. Awesome.
So in Milan, no less.
Oh, boy.
So I encourage people to go and do things like that. You said only a couple of people play professionally. I'm lucky, I feel like, and I've been for 10 years now in this situation where I always have at least one, sometimes 2 or 3 players who, if they want to, can do that. They can go overseas and make an actual reasonable living. So. You can do that from here if you want to as well sometimes.
What were you doing in Milan?
So Christmas came and all my players left, and it was like I'm in my apartment by myself for weeks. So I got to get out. So I decided I wanted to go overseas, and Brazil was way too expensive because it's summer down there. I've got a friend one of my friends was coaching Club Italia, which is their junior national team essentially. In 2009, they came to the United States and did a little tour. One of their first stop was Las Cruces in New Mexico State. They spent like 4 days here. So the coach of that team nowadays coaches some of the best teams in the world. And I've kept in touch. So I texted my friend Stefano and said, hey, if I come out there, can I spend a few days with you and be in practice and be in video sessions and stuff like that? And he says, yeah, come on out. Just make sure you come after the 14th. And so I actually did 2 different ones. I was in Novara for 4 days, and then I was in Busto for 4 days. And around that, I went to Cannes, I went to Monaco, I went to Rome, I went to Florence. I think I went to 11 different teams practices and like 5 high-level pro matches or something like that.
That's awesome.
It was fun. Just, part of it was volleyball and part of it was just get out and walk around. I walked completely around Vatican City.
Ah, very cool.
So I can say I've walked completely around a country.
Yeah. That's good. Well, and I love that you guys at New Mexico State allow the players to do the study abroad. And,
yeah,
I know it's, during their breaks or their off season, but the fact that I think it's becoming more and more common that colleges provide those programs, and the flexibility of offering the mini trips in between the semesters is fabulous. And to be able to allow these athletes to be able to get out and experience.
There's no substitute for going overseas and just seeing what its life's like elsewhere.
Yeah, no, very cool. Well, listen, Chris, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate
let
it.
us know when we all get back into the gym. We'd love to have you or the staff at Forza.
We would love to be down there.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll
looking forward to it.